Imagine this. You're a millionaire. You've got stacks of cash, more than you can carry, but you can't even afford a loaf of bread. This isn't a sci-fi movie. This is the brutal reality of hyperinflation, a force that can turn an entire nation's wealth into worthless paper overnight. We've seen it happen in Weimar Germany, where people used wheelbarrows of money to buy groceries. We've seen it in Zimbabwe, with $100 trillion bills that couldn't buy a bus ticket. And in Hungary, where prices doubled every 15 hours. So, how does this happen? How can money, the very foundation of our society, just stop working? It's a story of desperate governments, printing presses running wild, and the devastating human cost when trust in a currency collapses. In this video, we are going to dive deep into history's most extreme financial meltdowns to uncover what happens when money fails. And more importantly, we'll explore what these catastrophic events can teach us about our own money and our economy today. Because the lessons from the past are more relevant now than you might think. Let's start by defining what hyperinflation actually is. It's not just high inflation, like when gas prices go up. Economists generally define hyperinflation as a period where prices increase by more than 50% per month. Imagine that. The price of everything you buy, food, rent, clothes, doubling or more every single month. Your life savings, your salary, everything you've worked for, evaporates in a matter of weeks. The root cause is almost always the same: a government printing massive amounts of new money. Why would they do this? Usually, it's an act of desperation. Maybe a country has just lost a major war and has massive reparations to pay, like Germany after World War I. Or maybe a government's tax revenue has collapsed, and printing money is the only way it can pay its soldiers, its employees, and its bills. They essentially try to print their way out of a crisis. But this creates a vicious cycle. The more money they print, the less each dollar, or peso, or mark is worth. People realize their money is losing value by the hour, so they rush to spend it as fast as they can on real goods, anything from food to furniture. This massive demand pushes prices up even faster. Businesses then raise prices to keep up with their own rising costs. Seeing prices skyrocket, workers demand higher wages. The government then has to print even more money to pay those wages, and the cycle spirals out of control until the currency is completely destroyed. Let's look at the most infamous example: the Weimar Republic in Germany in the early 1920s. After World War I, Germany was saddled with enormous war debts mandated by the Treaty of Versailles. The government couldn't raise enough money through taxes, so it turned to the printing press. What started as a trickle of new money soon became a flood. In early 1922, one US dollar was worth about 320 German marks. By November 1923, one US dollar was worth 4.2 trillion marks. Trillion. The numbers became so absurd that they were meaningless. Stories from this time are just surreal. People would go to a restaurant, and the price of their meal could double between the time they ordered and the time they got the bill. Workers would demand to be paid twice a day, rushing out at lunchtime with bags of cash to buy anything they could before the money lost more value by the evening. People burned banknotes for fuel because it was cheaper than buying wood. A postage stamp cost billions of marks. Life savings were wiped out. The middle class was plunged into poverty. This economic chaos created deep social and political instability, paving the way for extremist ideologies to take hold. It's a terrifying reminder that a stable economy is the bedrock of a stable society. Fast forward to the 21st century, and we see the same tragedy play out in Zimbabwe. In the early 2000s, the government began a controversial land reform program, seizing farms, which caused agricultural production to collapse. The economy tanked, and tax revenues plummeted. To fund its spending, the government of Robert Mugabe did exactly what Weimar Germany did. It fired up the printing presses. The result was one of the worst cases of hyperinflation in modern history. By November 2008, inflation reached an estimated 89.7 sextillion%. That's an 897 followed by 20 zeros. The government kept printing new bills with more and more zeros on them, culminating in the infamous $100 trillion banknote. And what could you buy with 100 trillion Zimbabwean dollars? At its peak, barely enough for a bus ride across town. People abandoned the local currency entirely. The US dollar and the South African rand became the de facto currencies. Bartering became common. A dentist might get paid with a live chicken. The official economy ceased to function. Again, we see the same pattern. A government destroying its own currency out of desperation, and ordinary citizens paying the ultimate price. Their hard-earned money became a national joke. So what does this all mean for us today? While hyperinflation on the scale of Zimbabwe or Weimar Germany is rare, the underlying principles are a constant warning. These historical disasters show us the ultimate importance of trust. A currency, whether it's a dollar, a euro, or a yen, only valuable because we all collectively agree that it is. It's a social contract. When a government breaks that trust by recklessly printing money to solve its problems, that contract is broken, and the entire system can unravel with shocking speed. It also teaches us about the dangers of massive government debt and unsustainable spending. When a country consistently spends far more than it takes in, it can be tempted to use the printing press as a magic solution. But as history shows us, that path leads to ruin. It's not a solution, it's a poison that destroys savings, destabilizes society, and punishes the most vulnerable. In today's world, we see governments around the globe taking on unprecedented levels of debt and engaging in massive money printing programs, often called quantitative easing. While policymakers assure us that this is different and that they have it under control, the ghosts of Weimar and Zimbabwe serve as a powerful cautionary tale. The fundamental mechanics haven't changed. Printing money doesn't create wealth. It only dilutes the value of the money already in circulation. It's a tax on everyone who holds the currency. These historical examples aren't just dusty old stories. They are urgent lessons about the fragility of our economic systems and the profound responsibility that governments have to maintain a stable and trustworthy currency. The day money stops working is the day society itself starts to break down. Understanding how that can happen is the first step in ensuring it never happens again. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this look into the history of hyperinflation fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces that shape our world. And let me know in the comments what other major economic events would you like to see us cover. See you in the next one.